So, does anyone know anything strange about this new Switch Sports game? Really? No one? Just me? Okay. Well, I actually do think people notice this because a lot of people have been talking about it. And today I want to give my thoughts and an interesting theory on the game. See, this game, when it was revealed, was thought to be like a new game in the Wii Sports series. And we thought, well, of course, we're going to have our Mii's playing sports on the Switch this time. But this was not the case. You see, Switch Sports is actually, you're not playing as your Mii's, you're playing as avatars that you create. And they're not Mii's. They're entirely different. And a lot of fans did not like this idea. And I'm not a big fan of it myself. So why no Mii's? And there is a canonical universe, like there is a Miiverse, not pun unintended, but there is a Miiverse, a Mii universe, where there are canon games. And since the past Wii Sports games are canon to the Miiverse, you have to assume this one is too. But then how can you if there's no Mii's? Well, what if I was to tell you that this is the Mii's? And that they actually have gone through an evolution, sort of like Pokemon. Okay, to make it clear, I will not be including Big Brain Academy Wii degree in this theory because of the fact that I'm not sure if that's canon or not. It has Mii's in it, sort of. Like, Mii's are in it and they're on the cover and stuff, but I don't know if you can really consider this canon. So, I'm just going to kind of leave this out there. But it could be considered canon. It's kind of a strange boat. The first canon game that I can think of, like, if I'm going chronological order, which I don't know, there is an actual chronological order as far as I can find, that shows all the Mii games in the canonicity order of timelines. But this is what I think is the first one in the timeline, and what I theorize is, which is Miitopia. So Miitopia, if you've never played it, was a game where you play as a Mii saving other Mii's from these evil monsters and having to rescue their faces that have been stolen. So you have to rescue them, and it's all been done by this evil spirit sorcerer dude or thing. It's not really a gender, but because it can be considered any gender. I mean, the spirit is possessing a host, and that host could be a girl or boy, but the spirit itself, I don't think has a gender. But as for this game, it's just about you being a knight or wizard or whatever kind of hero you want to be, saving the day and saving people's faces. And that's the kind of first Mii game in the timeline. So, lore-wise, well, there's spirits and monsters in this universe. Nothing surprising about that. The next game in the timeline is Find Mii and Find Mii 2. These games were a little bit stranger in the timeline because you don't only play as like it's weird. You don't play as Mii's in this game. Instead, you play as dogs or cats. Yeah, it was strange. You play as a dog or cat and you have to rescue the king. And in the second game, you have to rescue the king and his son and his daughter. As for where the mother is, who knows? That goes into even deeper lore. So the lore, and you fight Ghost. Yeah, you fight Ghost and stuff, and knights, and like ghost knights, I guess you could call them. And that's basically what this game is. So in this game, the lore basically says that ghosts exist and monsters and all that, like Miitopia did. But this game goes even crazier and says that animals are, like animals that talk and run around, are normal things. that there are animals, but instead there are anamorphic creatures, kind of like Sonic and stuff, in this universe. And this is okay. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But then it gets weird when you go deeper into the lore in future games. So the next game in the timeline was Pokemon Wumble on the Wii. And then, of course, there was a sequel to that called Pokemon Wumble U. And then another sequel to that called Pokemon Wumble Blast. Oh, no, sorry. Pokemon Wumble Battle. Sorry about that. I say things wrong sometimes. And then there's another Pokemon Wumble game that I can't quite remember the name of. But I'll just put on the screen after I remember the name of it. But these Pokemon Wumble games were, well, Pokemon games. Okay, nothing weird about that. You wouldn't think they'd be in the Miiverse. But they are, because the Pokemon trainers are actually Miis. Now, why the Miis don't appear in the first Pokemon Wumble game, and I don't think they appear in Pokemon Wumble U, and they may not appear in Pokemon Wumble Battle, they do appear in the other Pokemon Wumble game that I'm going to be showing on the screen right now, because I don't remember the name of it, but it's on the 3DS. I'm trying to remember the name of it really hard. But they appear in that game as the Pokemon trainers. I mean, that the Miiverse this is part of the Miiverse. But yet, okay, so Pokemon are canon now to the Miiverse, okay. Nothing strange about that. Or is there? Next game that we have in the series, or at least after the Pokemon Wumble stuff, the timeline on when stuff takes place is kind of unsure. Like, we don't really know for the most part, so I'm just going in random order now. Unless if the game is a sequel, we don't know when it takes place. If it's a sequel, then it takes place after the last game. But unless it's a sequel, we don't know. So the next game I'm just going to show is Tomodachi Collection. And that's for the DS. And it's basically where you just live life. Like you make a life for your Mii. And this is something kind of strange. Because there are no more ghosts and goblins and monsters anymore. Apparently, after the Find Me games, they all became extinct. Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. And the Miis have evolved. Now they are normal. They act like normal people. They have technology and everything. They're not fighting with swords and stuff. But then it gets even crazier because there are no Pokemon. The Pokemon have vanished. And in other games in the future of the Mii timeline, there are no Pokemon. Which means that the Pokemon most likely have been extinct. Now, how did they go extinct? Well, we can probably presume, like in the Pokemon canonicity, humans eat Pokemon just like they eat animals. Meaning that we probably ate all the Pokemon and now they are extinct. Yeah, I know that's that's a thought that you really don't want to think about, and that's very disturbing, but that's actually part of the Pokemon lore. Humans in Pokemon universe eat Pokemon. And since these games, they are Pokemon, even though they're not canon to the Pokemon franchise, they are Pokemon in this series, you can presume that they ate Pokemon just like animals, meaning that the Pokemon probably got extinct through too many of them being eaten. So, okay. So, no Pokemon, they are extinct. And ghosts and goblins have all been killed, and now they are extinct. So now the world is just normal for the most part. And that's how it is until Tomodachi Life. I think I pronounced that wrong, but it's hard to pronounce that word. Tomodachi Life. Yeah. I don't have that up on the screen, but that's the next game in the series. And the next game in the series is Tomodachi Life. And that game is basically just a sequel to this, and it's not insanely much different. And no more huge lore implications in this next game. So nothing to go off of there. The next game that I'm going to be talking about is Miitomo. Naturally, you wouldn't think Miitomo probably is canon to the rest of the games, because it's kind of like a social media, but with Miis. But you can kind of say it is, because I'm sure Miis, if they have future technology and all that, have social media, so you can kind of just presume that social media exists in the universe. So just imagine that you are now seeing the social media part of the Miiverse. So no more big lore implications here. The next game we have, which hashtag I thought that it said Plot Wings when I first read it, but no, it says Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings Resort. Well, I don't know that this is probably not the next game in the timeline, because like I said, after Find Mii 2, it gets kind of unclear what games take place when. But Pilot Wings Resort is the next game I'm going to go over. And it's kind of just like how it sounds. You do flying sports. And it was for the 3DS. And actually, that's what the only console was for. And I've never played the game, but from the research I've done, there's not much huge lore implications on here. It has Woohoo Island, just like any of the past Mii games, which Woohoo Island seems to be a returning place. And seeing how that's a returning place, we could just technically assume that Pokemon do exist and they still alive, but they just are on a distant island. Because most of our Mii games take place on Woohoo Island. Tomodachi Life was like the exception of the modern day Mii games that don't take place on Woohoo Island, but let's just assume that Pokemon are extinct. That makes our theories way more easier. So, no more big lore implications with Pilot Wings Resort. It's kind of just like the other games that I've mentioned in the past few games. No big lore implications. Now notice, this is the timeline I'm going based off of. There's a lot of Mario games and some Sonic ones and some kind of like NBA games, and then the We Love Golf, which says Wii instead of Wii like the console. And there's Wheel of Fortune. There's also one way up here called Jeopardy. And a lot of these games have Mii's, either as playable kills or just as little Easter eggs. But we are not including those games because those games are not part of the Miiverse. Mii's are just a cool reference or Easter egg. We already know the Mario Kart games don't have their own timeline or anything, so this is just, we're not including all those games. The games I'm including are the ones that I'm pretty sure are part of the Miiverse. So, sorry if you missed some of those games in which they were part of the Miiverse. The next game that I want to talk about is We Play. There is a sequel to this, and I'll get into that in a sec, because I don't remember what it's called, but I'll get into that in a sec. But We Play is the next game I'm talking about, and it's a sports game, just like Pilot Wings. I don't think that's actually what it's called, but you guys saw the other part of the video where I said it, so sorry if I got the name wrong. But this is We Play, and it's another sports game. Normal lore implications here, like in a lot of past games I've said. But still, oh yes, I will not have to go to it later, because here it is. We Play Motion. We Play Motion is the sequel to this game. At least, it seems like it's the sequel. I'm just going to call it the sequel because it has different sports. But yeah, so not much to really go off lore-wise of these games. Not much at all. Okay, so the next game in the timeline is, next game in the timeline that I think is the next game in the timeline is Wii Music. At first, I didn't think this was going to be part of the canon timeline until I saw the fact that it's actually about Mii's playing music, so it's part of the canon timeline. Again, no lore implications, nothing really to talk about. It's just kind of one of those games, one of those filler games in the timeline, like most of these games are. No more lore implications. The next games I'm going to be mentioning are Wii Party. There's Wii Party and Wii Party U. Both games are the next games I'm going to be mentioning. And as for where they take place in timeline, we just know they take place in the modern day and age part of the Miiverse. But as for lore implications, there's not really anything to go off lore. But it's a fun game, and it's just another part of the timeline that is kind of pointless when it comes to lore. The next game timeline is Wii Fit, Wii Fit Plus, and Wii Fit U. These are the next games in the Mii timeline. Now, normally, if you just play the game normally, you would not think these games are canon, because you have real human beings. Now, guaranteed, they are extremely pale and their skin's like extremely white, and they look like they are lifeless. But that's just how it is sometimes in video games. They just look lifeless. But that's besides the point. So, not focusing on that part of the game mode, we're focusing on the Mii part of the game mode, which is on Woohoo Island. Wow, what a surprise! But here's where lore implications come along. See, this whole video is about... It's all getting to the point where I'm going to explain my theory on Mii's evolving. Well, before we get on that, we're talking about the animals. Because, in Find Mii, dogs and cats are anamorphic creatures like Sonic. They run around like human beings. Okay, nothing weird about that. They probably talk too. But then when we get into the Wii Fit games, animals have decreased. Decreased is not the word. De-evoluted, which is a new word that I just invented. There's probably a word for it, but I like de-evoluted more, so I'm gonna use it. But de-evoluted is my new word. But instead of evolving into better versions of their anamorphic selves, they have de-evoluted into regular acting animals that make animal sounds and run around on all fours. So, what happened? Why did the animals' evolution decrease? Why did their knowledge decrease? Why are they like normal animals now when before they kind of acted like humans in a lot of ways? Well, my theory is that over time they just turned to normal like animals, to where they don't think straight. Kind of like Zootopia, in a way. Zootopia, there is this serum that makes animals act like, animals instead of acting like humans, like the rest of animals in Zootopia are. And it's a common thing for movies where there are like anamorphic animals. It's a common thing to where if an animal is on its own long enough, even the Narnia movies alluded to this in the second Narnia movie, Prince Caspian, where a bear couldn't talk and was like a wild animal. Basically, like, they are on their own for so long that they become wild and are tamed for so long that they lose the ability to speak English probably and walk on all fours and just kind of become like regular animals. They have de-evoluted. They are no longer as wise as they are. Now they are dumb, tamed creatures. It's kind of sad, but that's just how the world is going now in the Miiverse. Okay, so we finally get a game with more lore implications. The next game in the timeline is Wii Sports, the game that we've all been waiting for. Wii Sports. Guess what? No lore implications. Really not anything lore-wise in this game. It's kind of just basic Wii game of the Miiverse. No lore implications. Now, as for the timeline, you went from a person just training with that Mii guy with the beard that I don't remember the name of, but I'm going to put his name and face on the cover of this video right now, just so that you guys can see and say who he is and just hate me in the comment section because I can't remember his name. Was it like Mac or something? I don't know. But anyways, so in Wii Fit, you train with him. But now in Wii Sports, you battle him in the wrestling match. So this is based after Wii Fit. So we finally are getting a little more sure where games take place. Along with this, we got Wii Sports Resort, and Wii Sports Club is more just a deluxe version of original Wii Sports game. But Wii Sports is no big lore implications. Wii Sports Resort has a little bit more lore in a kind of way where we go to, Woohoo Island. Now, we've elaborated on the fact that if you go and one down, like you just do like a little few laps on the island, you can find little Mario paintings on like walls and stuff, Mario graffiti. Meaning that Mario characters do exist in this universe just as video game characters. Meaning that the Mii's are playing games like Super Mario Bros. And stuff. Meaning that Mario in this universe are video games, but Pokemon are actually a real thing. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but that's just how it is. But again, no huge lore implications here. Now we get on to some interesting stuff in the way of lore-wise. With the next game, Go Vacation. Now, Go Vacation, you're saying it doesn't have Mii's in it, and that's very true. So you're probably thinking, well, then it's not canon. But it is because it takes place on, guess where? Woohoo Island. Yep, Woohoo Island as far as I am aware of, unless if my research is wrong, which I don't think is. Even the cover shows what looks to be Woohoo Island. So, I'm not wrong. Hopefully. But yes, Woohoo Island. Which means that we have a little bit of the issue. Where are the Mii's? Why do we have these characters? Well, this is where my theory comes in. Like Pokemon evolve, the Mii's have evolved. Have gone through an evolution to turn from bland looking Mii's with no legs most time and no arms most time and just balls for hands. They are now full-on cartoon animated humans. They have gone through an evolution. They have evolved like Pokemon evolve. And now we get on to the main thing. Switch Sports. Which does not show Mii's, but instead shows these avatar characters. Now, you may be thinking, well, this game doesn't have to be canon. It doesn't take place on Woohoo Island. But my objection is, and my argument is, if every past Wii Sport game has been canon, then you have to include Switch Sports. You have to include this game, because you have to say it's canon if the last games in the sports series have been canon. So, it's canon. Don't try to mess with me. It's canon. So, now they are still evolved like they were in the last game. So, this is where we're going with this. They have evolved. Now, as for the lore on why they evolved or how they evolved, we're not sure. But over time, like how Pokemon evolve, the Mii's have evolved. But we don't know. Mii's could be in the game, like this arc that Best Buy said. They could still be implemented as maybe DLC or unlockables, but as for the actual lore implications, Mii's are now this. They are now like normal animated humans. They are no longer the plain-looking, ball-hand, armless, legless, most time, Mii's. They are now like this. They have evolved. And soon enough, maybe they will evolve into actual humanoid-looking, entirely Mii's. Which I highly doubt that's ever going to happen, but we never know. The way this lore is going, it's kind of insane. But hey, who can really say my theory is real? Because it's just a game theory. It's just a game theory.